Pretty much as a young fella, I've been bait fishing most of my life. Never really been into lures as such, so I've been catching my own live bait or getting my own fresh bait wherever I can, such as local trawlers. I get local squid, yakkers, slimies, prawns are good bait. Anything like that, local bait is the best scenario you can have in any reef fishing.
Johnny Sitt makes these, designed to get the hook straight out of the fish. Reason being, I use the hooks I do mustard because they're nice and strong for one. So when dehooking the mustard out of the fish, you don't get any bending in your hook. So I'll pull that hook out of any sort of fish, bang, out it'll come and it won't bend the hook, so I can retain the shape I like. Even with the gang hooks with the pilchard on, even with tree hooks, I can get the dehooker into the ridge of the hook, dehook it out of the fish, and it'll be come out straight. These are straight shank tarpons, 7 6s, my favourite hook of all time. Didn't like being hooked. There he is, a lipper dipper. Nice start, yeah. He was in the reef there for a little bit, little fella. Grass sweet lip, nice red throat on him. Parrot. Yeah, nice little parrot. The old gravel spitter.
Fishing with a good mate of mine, Mr. Craig Vella, better known as Chico. He's a bit of a mad Chico as well, but he certainly knows his bait fishing, and it's a good opportunity for me to come out and just see exactly what he's been doing lately to catch a whole lot of his fish. We're fishing in the boundary of where the north and the southern species tend to intermingle and mix along the Australian coastline, and it just means we can get a real mix of species. But the bait approaches we're using today can be used anywhere along the coastline to catch some of your favourite local species. Nice thing about fishing with a guy is very organised, so he's made up a lot of his rigs, so he's got a whole lot of pre-rigged setups ready to go in his tackle box. And we're fishing in reef country and we are losing a bit of gear. Even just through abrasion, it gets to the stage where you know your rig needs to be redone. It's nice and easy to go to your tackle box. We'll go to Chico's tackle box and steal stuff.
Oh, thanks very much.
There you go, we've got used his mustard hook cases to good effect, re-rigged everything up, and it's out on the water. It's a case of just tying it on and away we go. Nice and easy.
A lot of my bait fishing techniques is from a local fisherman who took me by his side and showed me what he knew and showed me the ropes and kicked me off in this area, and I pretty much took over from there.
Little lipper. We'll dehook him off, get rid of him. I don't keep them until they're a good size. Look like that. Go on, don't have to touch him. Beautiful. I'll go back down and get another one, eh?
There's our rig. I'll trim it up in a minute, but we've got the top hook, which is our big gun, mustard big gun, which we can put a piece of squid on, and then we're running down through the rig, running sinker onto gang tarpons. It's a very nice effective rig wherever you're fishing bait around Australia.
My favourite baits are locally caught yakkers or yellowtail, or southern yellowtail as they say. Well, if I can't catch my yakkers, I'll bring out some local squid and use that. It's a little bit tougher and it hangs on the hook, so if you've got a lot of little fish around, you'll pick off the bigger fish with the local squid.
Rigging up these squid baits, we've matched the size of the hook very well to the size of the baits we're using. I like to often lie a bait alongside a hook, and what I like to do then is thread that hook through a few times and actually pull the eye of the hook through the bait, so it stays on and it keeps it nice and flat in the water, and so it wafts around and looks very much like the natural thing. I think a big part of having success with your bait fishing, it's where Chico's so good, is that he makes baits look the real deal. He presents them well. I think too often I see anglers out there just scrunching baits on the hook and saying she'll be right and chucking it out, whereas if you can get your bait to present well, it makes a huge difference to your catch rate. We're fishing a double bait rig here where I've got squid on the top hook, which we've just rigged up. I'm putting a pilly on these gangs on the bottom. And the key, just as we did with the squid, it's nice to line your bait up alongside your hooks and see exactly where the hooks have to pierce the bait so that everything does sit nice and flush, so that it does present well in the water. You can rig it from the top or the bottom, I like rigging it from the bottom, getting those hooks in there so that those bottom hooks lie alongside the chin. So when this guy sits and swims out in that water, he's looking nice and natural. Let's get him out there. Oh, nice.
Moses.
He's a better one.
Oh, he's a nice eating size. My missus' favourite fish. I cook them whole for her. Crispy skin Moses. Excellent. Very nice. Wasn't getting away with those mustard hooks there.
It's all happening.
Got a little Maori cod. Tried to sneak my other bait while the other rod was going. Whoosh! It's a Maori cod. There's quite a few Maori cod around here lately. Oh, it's a little red emperor. These are cute. Get heaps of them in close, and when they get bigger, out they go out to the deeper water. So we'll let this one guy go. There he goes. Okay, today I'm fishing with a little outfit, 6-foot rod, reel with monofilament on it. I don't like braid, I usually fish with mono. It's got a nice bit of stretch to it. I fish with a high ratio reel, 6-to-1. So I really crank the reel to bring the hooks up fast, so it actually hooks the fish. It's mono versus braid today, and we'll see how we go. Little tiger. Yeah, they just pull hard in that current, they put their head down, away they go. Another little lipper, I think. Yeah. Another lipper.
Nice lipper, mate. Woo. There's your up. He's not that small.
That's the going rate, isn't it? That size.
Yep. Can't complain with that. We've seen the outfit that Chico's been using, and he uses an overhead style reel with monofilament all the way through. I'm opting to use a 10 to 20 kilo spin rod. I've loaded it up with 60-pound braid, and we're using 60 to 80 pound leader material. Now, because I'm using braid, that means I've got a non-stretch line, which means there's a lot more impact at the fish end, and I do run the risk of pulling some hooks out of fish. Now, to get around that a little bit, what I'm doing is running a lot more monofilament. I'm running 3 to 4 meters of monofilament line before my trace. So ultimately, the end of my braided line, I've got a good 6 meters of nice stretchy monofilament, which still gives me that little bit of added stretch to the whole outfit, and hopefully means I don't pull as many hooks. This is a better one. Well, it might have been mackerel-ish as well, you know, for a bit, but you're starting to talk about fishing all of the water column. That fish is eating it on the drop, and it's one benefit of when you're letting a bait out to feed it out through your fingers, because very often the fish are in the area, they love that bait dropping through the water, and that's when they'll come and grab it. Yeah, it's a nice fish. Look at that, beautiful. It's eating the squid too. So that is eating that, probably mid-water. The only reason I knew I'd caught something is suddenly that line started ripping out off the reel at a rate of knots. It was a case of just engage the bail arm, and away we go. Lovely. We've certainly given him a choice. He's probably seen the pilly come cruising past, and he's seen a nice bit of squid, and he's thought, oh, you know what, I feel like calamari tonight. Game on. By watching that line, you can see the moment it starts behaving differently, and what that'll mean to you is that you probably hit the bottom. Either that or a fish has picked it up. I mean, sometimes you'll let that bait out, and way before you think you've actually got to bottom, the line will stop dropping. If that's the case, I often lift the rod just to see what's on there. When you do see that braid slacken off when you're on the bottom, I typically like to engage that reel and quickly wind up so that I don't let my sinker and bait waft around too much in the reefy stuff. I want to get contact with it, because quite often you'll find fish will pop on board.
Oh, nice hit.
You find that fish will grab it the moment it hits the bottom. So being in control of that line and in contact, pretty important thing to do when you're bait fishing. Far out. Yeah, you wanted that.
Yellow sweet.
Big spangly. Aren't they a nice fish? Big spangled, they do go hard, these things. Beautiful fish, another member of our sweet-lip family. They're bound in the reefs in different parts. They're a fairly fearsome predator, you know, when you've got one of these guys. He's not a massive fish, but far out he pulled. They're a sucker for a well presented bait. Catch them on soft plastics and that as well, but you present a bait well to these guys and they absolutely love it. Magnificent fish. Sometimes you lose weight and it sometimes means the fish has actually picked up the weight of the sinker. It's always big key thing with bait fishing is learning to feel what the signs are that a fish has grabbed it. Sometimes it's waiting for that rod to load up and other times you lose weight, you know something's come along and picked it up. So you get those signs right, you know when to strike, and that's I think one of the key parts of bait fishing. If I was going to give someone a tip on your bait fishing, learn about what it feels like for a fish to properly have the bait in its mouth before you strike. A slightly better fish. Let's go a bit hard on them around that reef.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of chances when they're that close to the reef if they want to eat it. It's not a red one. What are we? Nice lipper. Whoa, jumping lipper. Mate, they'll do everything. We've trained these ones around here. Good size sweet lip. There you go, and there's a good, displays pretty well the length of this rig. We've got a nice squid bait sitting on the top, a running ball sinker down to the gang hooks and the pilly at the bottom, which this lipper has come up and graciously eaten for us. We tend to just change the weight of that ball sinker depending on the amount of current we've got on any given day. You know, obviously see we've got a large ball sinker today because we've got a very strong current pushing through here. So that's what we're needing to do to get down to bottom. But the rig, very effective. Some days we've shown already that the fish like the tusk fish and some of those other species are liking the squid. And then there's some other bigger critters climbing on board on these pillies every now and again. Very effective little bait rig. I'm having a bit of fun. Another lovely fish, one of our tropical species. Chico and I are lucky enough to live in a spot where all the northern and the southern species start to intermingle a little bit. You know, we get the odd barra and fish like that here, but we also get drummer and your ludric, so it's a really nice mixed zone. The techniques that Chico spends most of his time doing fishing those baits work just as well in your home waters as they do up here.
Okay, we're going to show you a reef rig that we are using to catch these beautiful fish today. We start with an 80-pound mono. It's about 1.5 meters long to start with. On one end we attach a nice swivel, black rolling swivel, and we'll put 2 hooks on it today. Okay, our first knot will be for our top hook. This is a Paternoster knot or a Paternoster rig knot. We just twist our line around and around to make the little line for the little hook to go through. And simply pulling through like so. Thus, our top hook will go on there, snip that off a bit, and tie the top hook onto that, leading off the main line. Okay, on goes our 6.0 big gun for your top hook. You just merely tie it on that little Paternoster rig I just tied. It's quite easy to do. There you go, and that's your top hook. Now down to the bottom hook. Next will go on your 6-ball. Due to the current, we need a 6-ball today. I always fish light as you can, so if you need a 5-ball or a 4-ball, that's fine. You just merely tie your hooks onto the end so you can attach your pilchard and your squid baits, and you've got a complete rig ready to go. As we said before, make these at home all ready to go, but just demonstrating to you how easy they are to do today. And there's your rig, complete. Top hook, bottom hooks with gangs to take your pilchard and your squid. Swivel on top, all complete. Now bait up and you're ready for action. My top tips is get your rig down pat. Make sure your baits fit your rig beautifully so you've got no twists, presents well, and suit your tackle to your rod and reel as well. So balanced outfit, balanced bait on the right hooks, and keep it nice and light as you can, and you're pretty much on your way to success.
In the case if you just leave that bait down there sometimes and you get through all the picks and the taps, suddenly something will come out of the blue and belt it.
Slams it.
It's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Yo, ripper! You got one. Phew.
Might want to net this one, I won't.
Go home, mate. He's got a mustard hook in him.
Oh yes! Aren't they a superb fish? The coral trout, one of the prizes of many waters around the country. That big mouth, they're fearsome predators of the reef. And look at that mustard firmly locked in the corner of the jaw, and Chico's right, when those mustards stick in, they typically don't let go in a hurry. We love catching these things. They're they're not a rare capture. You have to work hard for them. They are becoming more common around here, which is interesting. But what a wonderful fight! That #1 on my table anyway. So we do let a fair few go, but we've worked hard for this one today. And I think it's coral trout on the menu tonight. I'll have one happy wife. She likes getting stuck into these guys as well. Well done, Mr. Chico. He's done it. He's cracked a trout for us. You beauty.
Well, to present a good bait in front of a nice fish and actually catch it, bring it to the boat, it's pretty rewarding to me.
It's Bill Klassen here from The Fishing Show, and if you like this instructional video and want to learn more, it's simple. Go to fishingshowtv.com.au and see a whole host of additional videos.